And we're off to the races. Hey guys, how we doing? This is Almost Famous. Yours truly, Jim Francis. As I live and breathe, my son is in the house. My pride and joy. I am super stoked tonight, guys, because tonight is definitely an epic show. I not only have my firstborn, but my only born. That's my son. He's fantastic, a great achiever. He's a college kid who's got a lot in his mind, as most students have, and most free thinkers. And we do live in the greatest country in the whole wide world, I happen to believe, the United States of America. And so we might get a little political, perhaps, after all, I do have a political science degree. But we're going to talk about a lot of wonderful things today, and we're going to try to do it in a concise fashion. But let me introduce my son. Let me get to him right away because I'm like really itching to get to you and chomping at the bit. James Matthew, the boxing enthusiast and political pundit, is here.
Look at that! I did not expect, folks, that I'd have my name up there with everything that I wanted to talk about. That's crazy. That's actually insane. Dad, listen, I am absolutely excited to be here again. I know that we did this at the beginning of the year, but obviously there's been some changes around here, and I'm really excited to be back on and having conversations with you. We do this all the time.
In the car.
So of course, why not? Let's do this in front of the public, right?
Yeah, let's unravel some of the stuff we want to talk about. I know. How's school these days? How you doing?
School's great. Obviously, we got more intentionality behind going to school, but school's always great. We try to be as driven as possible. We try to be as task driven as possible and execute. But also we try to have fun at the same time. It's interesting to try to maintain that balance, but I would say that definitely it's a great time.
Well, I enjoy every step of the way, needless to say, because you're my son. We have great conversations, as father and son conversations, but I wanted to invite you back first and foremost to for you to take in this whole room. Isn't it amazing, this new studio we have?
Yeah, this is a great studio.
It's District 23, guys. And we do quite a bit in here. As you know, we do podcasts almost like every other day. I have a podcast episode, and so I was happy that you were able to come out here, and then I also wanted to find out what you're up to at school. And I understand a birdie told me that you're running for president of your school. Is that a fact, or what's this about?
Yes, I am.
Unpack, please.
Yes, of course. I'm running for president of LMU, and LMU has given me so much. I think it's time that I give back to the community. And the ways that I think that we can do that is through our Flair initiative that we have put together, my campaign team and I, a Flair for Change. And really what that stands for is a lot of things. We really want to increase diversity in our campus. We want to make sure that we really increase the on-campus events that we have. That would include, expanding bar hours, expanding, sporting events, a lot of things like that. But really, most importantly, we also want to be transparent in terms of how we work with student organizations. I think that's a very important key part of our initiative. And I could go into what Flair means.
Yeah.
So Flair is, it starts off with fair representation. And what that means is that we need diversity in our school. We need diverse, staff. We need diverse students, and we need to maintain diverse initiatives. And that's only done through creating events, right? And then we have Lion Pride following that. And Lion Pride, what that really is it's just another way of saying we want to bring back school pride. And the way we want to do that is through events, creating really strong initiatives alongside Greek life, service orgs, things of that nature. But we want to create committees to make sure that we can really facilitate these actions, because without committees and without student involvement, we as a school can never do something like that. Following that, we have accountability and transparency, and that's a really important thing, because a lot of times the schools really, it has ASLMU, which is the student body, and then it has the RSOs, the student organizations, and they're really separate. And by having this separate system, we really can't enforce the goals that the school wants to have and the students want to have. We need to work together, have that transparency, and that also involves being financially transparent. Because with financial transparency, we'll know where's the money going, right? So what R is it's recognition. right? So what we need is we need a lot of visibility. We need more visibility. We need our school to really have a strong name in the Los Angeles area. It already does, but the problem is that our students still struggle with having managers and bosses understand like, hey, this is a really great school and it's producing a lot of great students. That affects our hiring. That affects, the way that what organizations come into our school. But what I want to do is I want to increase visibility. You see, the film students, the business students, the engineering students, liberal arts students, they all deserve a fair opportunity. And they deserve an opportunity just like kids at USC, UCLA. They deserve even more opportunities. Because in my opinion, having a small private school, it really it incentivizes great learning. And it really creates great leaders. So what I'm proposing is that we increase visibility across the Los Angeles area. And I want service organizations to have more service opportunities for the community. And I want students to have more working opportunities. So that's why we need visibility. And the last part, very important part, is empowering the students. We need empowerment. And what that means is creating those committees. It's creating that transparency. I want to give every single LMU student the ability to sit in the decision-making, table,
Right.
and really have a say. And I don't think that they really have that yet. I really want to create that transparency. I want to create that ability for people to sit in the table and really make the decisions alongside us. Because ultimately, these decisions, they're going to affect LMU students. So why,
Right.
why can't we create committees to have them sit in the table?
And they're like behind, and not behind closed doors.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's clever.
Yeah, so that's our Flair initiative. I know it's quite long, but we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
So that's why it's
So you're rolling
there.
up the sleeves. It seems, and it sounds like.
Oh yeah.
Like, and then when did you guys kick off this campaign? Or
We kicked off our. We've been working on it for a few weeks. We've been working on it for a few weeks. It's been a lot of work, but it's never enough work for my community because this school gave me a lot, and I think that the least I could do in return is give back.
Yeah. Wow, simplicity at its finest. Just give back. I mean, I'm hearing you out of everything you're saying, and it really, it invigorates me. Like it reinvigorates me. It makes me feel like, boy, I wish I could just go back to college, roll up my sleeves, and be able to be the change that I want to see. In the
Right.
words of Gandhi, right? When I hear you speak, it obviously. It's so touching. I resonate with that because when I was in college, I mean, many years ago, not to make it about myself, but there was a lot of closed door, decision making, and none of us could partake of it, and much less make decisions. It's almost like a union. Unions, they go behind closed doors and then they shake hands and
Right.
and they come out and this is what we've come up with,
Yeah.
but realistically, it's sort of an all-encompassing kind of a thing. Like
Right.
they kind of marry you, and it's an arranged marriage almost. And it sounds to me like every step of the way, because you guys are students at LMU, that it ought to be where why not have you guys be in the room when things are done, more transparency, it sounds. And then you want to galvanize people
Yeah.
so they could almost really get involved. And right, is this what
Yeah.
am I hearing correctly?
No,
or?
of course. Yeah. I mean, it's obviously it's about creating a culture.
Right.
We want to create a culture. We want to create a culture where we really, stick up for students. We don't want to just look after ourselves. When I'm talking about visibility, what I'm talking about is creating opportunities for future Lions, current Lions, and past Lions. With the visibility and having that respect from the city, we're going to see a lot more LMU, students having way more opportunities in the workforce. And not only that, but also opportunities in terms of service, community service
Right.
opportunities.
Right.
So I think that that's one of our biggest keys. But again, it's about creating a culture. It's about being an advocate and a leader because we need that right now. We need to shape future
Desperately,
leaders.
huh?
Oh yeah, of course. In today's society, Gen Z is one of the generations that cares most about political issues. In the past, a lot of generations used to save it. Let me wait on that. Let me think about that later. But what my generation does that I really appreciate is that it's taking a stance on every issue And I think that, we need to create an environment where schools can develop future leaders. And that's what I want to do. I want to develop future leaders because who's gonna be the politicians of tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
It's the
You
LMU
guys,
students,
are the
it's the
future.
USC students, it's the, students from all these universities. And I want to make my mark and my legacy in terms of paving the way for these future leaders. And I want to start with my school. And so that's why, I decided to run for president. I decided to.
You're tired of all that, huh? You're tired of the bureaucracy. You're tired of the nonsense. You're tired of the key issues that go unheard. It's deafening, right? It's deafening when you don't see anybody doing anything about it. It's just fluff, right?
The thing is that, I'm an action-oriented person, and the action comes from setting goals. And I think that the problem is that when we don't have the transparency that we need, that we haven't been seeing yet on our campus, what you end up with is a problem of we don't have large enough goals because we don't have the transparency, the student committees to be able to get to those goals.
Yeah.
So what I'm proposing is that we create more student-led committees that can work directly with ASLMU, and we can set larger goals, larger events, larger situations where all of us can be happy as lions.
Yeah. I think it's wonderful and remarkable.
Yeah.
I really tip my hat off literally to you.
I appreciate it.
Because student involvement is by far the most important thing. It's at the core of a school. And if there isn't a lot, what do you think it is? Is it largely because also too the age of technology, or a lot of like people that are not they're kind of somehow I would say they're aloof. They're not really taking time to see what's before them because they're too busy scrolling through phones and technology. They're more worried about other things that are superficial and not what truly matters, impactful long term. Per se.
I'm part of this generation, right? And
sure are.
And I know that my generation, what it's about is one big thing is that we all think that we're great because we did grow up in a time where the parents and we had a lot of community service and a lot of initiatives and resources. When we compare it to Gen X, the problem, you guys were left astray, not in a bad way, but it's because of those first generation problems, right?
Yeah.
The families coming in, and it's like you're left at your own devices, right? So I think with my generation, it really is that we're kind of more in key. We know what we want. We make less, really bad decisions because I think we've had so many older people around us that can kind of tell us like, hey, that's not a great, I've tried that. It's not great to do.
Yeah.
Let me, so I think arguably we make better decisions, but at the same time,
you don't trip over the same stone that I tripped over kind of thing.
Right. And, but I think we have a clear image and vision, but our biggest issue is going to be, I think sometimes we're playful, right? We're a playful generation. But at the same time, we also have the issue of there's large, depressionary rates. There's there's a lot of anxiety, but that really manifests because of the technology. So the technology, it's a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah.
Because it's either it provides a lot of information.
So there's an information overload, though.
Exactly. And it's information that could either cause depression, anxiety, or information that you use to just be so.
A leisure.
A huge
like
advocate.
Yeah.
And also leisure.
Yeah.
Ultimately, like my generation, we want to relax. We want to have fun. We have our culture that we love. And especially I think now one of the biggest things that's been coming up is boxing. I think combat sports is one of the fastest growing aspects of our culture.
Yeah, and we talked about it like just recently when I had you back on the podcast. We talked in at great length of your podcast that you have, right?
Oh yeah,
Right now it's in hiatus. What's it called? You and Jeremy?
Oh yeah, a friend of mine. We were putting together a podcast. It was the championship rounds. We wanted to look. I argued with that guy all the time about look, this boxer's great. That boxer's
it's
great.
fun. It's fun.
But it's like I would tell him like, dude, we do this all the time. Why not do it in front of the camera?
Yeah. Why not?
So we were doing that for a while. It did get into hiatus because look at the things I'm doing. In terms of school, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot. But yeah, no, the objective still stays. We want to get involved with boxing, and I have a few points about that later. But
okay. Yeah. So the whole boxing. Do you think I don't know? Is it too much to ask, or it's even conceivably possible or plausible that somewhere down the line in the foreseeable future that you guys going to have boxing at your school, like, or boxing matches or something, or UFC?
Yeah, I mean, I think the closest thing to something like that would be like watch parties. That's the only thing you could do.
Is that like bare knuckle fighting?
No. Watch parties would be in terms of people getting together, and watching it, on TV and things like that. But there's no way that we can implement something like that because there's a lot of red tape. You have to, it's a private school, number one, but also public schools too. It's like it's a school at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So they're not going to have the closest thing they would have is amateur boxing, and it would have to stem from an amateur boxing club that already exists on the campus.
Oh, it does?
No. I'm saying like it would have to. Yeah. So there's initiatives.
Well, there's other implications with that, right? Like other stuff because these are unsanctioned fights or something.
Well, amateur fighting is the only fighting that I think is definitely acceptable in an educational area because amateur boxing is the cleanest and it's the classiest form of boxing.
Yeah, that's with all the gear
headgear
and
all that. Yeah, because at that point it's more so sport and play.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite boxer right now?
Oh, it's tough. I mean, Ryan Garcia, I like that he's explosive, right? I think in terms of his personality and also his in-ring ability.
Yeah.
But I love David Benavidez. I think David Benavidez is a throwback fighter. I think he's an old school fighter. He's the type of fighter that, my grandfathers would have liked or that do like, because he's just a volume puncher and he just doesn't give up. He's just constantly in your grill, and he's always tight. He's always throwing double combinations, on one side of the body, the other side of the body head. It's ridiculous the things that he can do at his size. So I think that's one of my favorite fighters. I have a bunch, but those would be some of the ones that come to mind immediately.
Wow. And how about UFC?
Yeah. UFC is tough at the moment because there's a lot of it's very wrestler heavy, and wrestler heavy fighting is not the most fan engaging type of fighting.
Sure.
But I mean, I would say there's a Brazilian fighter by the name of Alex Pereira. I think he's like in my opinion, I think he's like the pinnacle of like, the Native American look or the native look across Mesoamerica. Okay. He's like 6'4", 6'5". Yeah. Kickboxing style. He looks. A lot of people say that his face looks like the Easter Island face, the Easter Island head. That it's like that. It's just a different. He's a different fighter. He's just built for fighting.
Love that.
Yeah, and I think in the same way I am. I think that I don't mean to circle it back, but I think I am.
This is your show.
I appreciate it, but no, I think in that same realm, I am as well. I think I'm built as a fighter, and I that's why I'm advocating for what I'm advocating for, because I have the heart of a fighter. I've always been a fighter ever since I was young.
Yeah,
it's just in me.
I think to touch up a little bit on Grandma, I think helped instill in us the fighters. I'm more of
fighter spirit.
Yeah, the spirit of a fighter. I think we channel Grandma many a times, and
of course,
and how we carry ourselves and how we go about life, if you will.
And a small thing about that, I did want to say, this was an opportunity that was brought to me, right? It's tough because you're a student, and look, I'm really presentable right now, right? But then when I'm talking with you normally, I'm talking with my friends, or I'm just being casual, right?
Informal, yeah.
I have a totally different vibe. And I'm just like, I see this stuff and I'm like, man, I got to put myself up on these posters. I got to go, do all this stuff, all these things.
Oh, poor you.
No, but you're putting yourself out there, right? You're putting yourself out there in a time where people are more judgmental than they've ever been, in my opinion.
Sure.
But you have to lead with legacy. Yeah. Right. At some point, you have to have deep, man. You have to have they have to have the fighter spirit at some
bravado.
Point. Of course. And I wanted to say that's what Grandma instilled in me. And, she would say to me, I remember she would, as a sign of love, right? She would call me the president.
Yeah, the president.
She'd be like, el presidente.
Yeah.
And that stuck with me. And I think that was one of the deciding factors of why I was like, yeah, man, let's do it.
Yeah. And throwing your hat like nothing.
Yeah, no, because I have a great team. With me, I have a great team, and I know my own abilities, the things that I've done, up to this point.
Yeah, impressive, man. Kids
no, but it's earned. I mean, I want people to know though.
Nothing was bestowed upon you. You earned it.
All
fair
of
and
it's
square.
Earned. All of it's earned. It is all earned.
Pound for pound.
Pound for pound best. Just
Yeah,
to
man.
tie it back into the boxing, but yeah, no, like
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
look,
brilliant.
I last time I was intense. I think this time you're seeing a different side of me, right? I think
Yeah,
you're seeing a
you're
little
very
more
presidential side.
intensity.
I mean,
I
like,
think
arguably, you are a different person today. You're more presidential like, and you always have a good head on your shoulders. I've
Right.
always told you,
Right.
and whatever you set out to do, you always do. So I think you got this. I think you probably want this by now.
Right here doing this, right?
Yeah, just now.
No, but
I mean,
yeah. I want to draw similarities. I remember Joe Rogan had Mike Tyson on.
Okay.
And I don't always like listening to Joe Rogan because I think a lot of podcasters get kind of boring after a while. You're like, it's the same.
It's a one-sided thing.
Yeah, but what he said one time was very fascinating to me. He had it was two different mics he had in the podcast.
Wow.
He had one mic.
And the mic.
One mic he had.
Yeah.
Was the Mike Tyson that was on, weed, and he was just like,
stoner.
He was a stoner, and he was chill, and he's laughing. He's just like, and he's like, and he was telling Rogan, he was like, listen, I don't want to train because if I train, it's gonna bring back that guy, and once that guy comes back, he's not leaving.
Wow.
And then you fast forward a few years later, Joe moves to another spot in Dallas, right?
In Texas,
and he has Mike back again. And I'm saying, drawing the similarities, like I just want to say, like, we're prepping for debates.
Yeah.
We're prepping for a lot of fun, right?
Hey.
No, we are. And
the games
begin. It's just like Mike. Like Mike was prepping for another fight, and Mike got back into that mode.
Yeah.
And then Joe was like, he went from sitting, face to face with a man. Then the next time he's sitting face to face with an animalistic warrior fighter. And I want to channel that. I want people to know that I am a raging bull.
That's right.
No, in all honesty, it's what it is. It's important. The advocating spirit, the leadership. I'm really here for it.
Tell him.
I'm here for it. I am. I wanted to, like I explained to you, I wanted to draw that similarity because, when Mike was getting ready for Roy, he was ready, right? And me getting ready for this presidential race, like, there's no doubt in my mind what's going to happen.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
So, when the debates come,
sure,
we're going to have some fun.
Let the chips fall where they may, but I think you're going to win.
But there's obviously a lot of outside factors that we have to take care of, but
what do you think the
great.
outside factors are? What do you think?
I'm just saying, I think it's going to be fun. That's all I have to say. I think it's going to be fun.
So a challenge is fun. Basically, is what you're saying.
A challenge is fun.
Yeah.
Why am I an accounting major? A challenge is fun.
Yeah.
Why? I was talking to the guy that just left a few moments ago, and I was telling I went to Churchill for a little bit, to do some boxing. I couldn't do what I wanted to do.
Sure.
I have a lot of responsibilities.
Yeah.
But
you train.
The challenge is fun. The challenge is fun.
Yeah.
That's what you learn when you go into those gyms. You realize that life is very easy.
Life is a challenge or nothing, right? Like it's
when one of the things about martial arts and those those things that I got myself involved with, right?
Yeah,
is
quite a bit of stuff.
If
I may add,
is you learn that what happens in the martial arts gym, they really prepare you for life, because in the martial arts gyms, it's where the rubber meets the road. It's where you start hitting you hear an absolute killer hitting the bag, and you're hearing gunshots, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
somebody's sparring, you're hearing the gloves hit the flesh. You're hearing, like, it's real.
Yeah, it
doesn't
Rocky,
get more.
Right? When he was hitting the
meat. But that movie's great, by the way, because it's just like a lot of the characterizations of boxing. But
yeah.
I would say nothing is more real than fighting.
Yeah.
So life is just easy.
Because that's what life is at the end of the day, right?
It's a fight.
It's a fight, like acting. Everything is a fight. Everybody's fighting for something.
Of course, yes.
And everything. I'm going to talk about my realm, but just across the board. You fight for in life survival.
Of course.
You fight for to place food on the table. You fight to be great. You never go in to lose. You go in to win.
No. You go into everything in life to win.
To win.
Yeah. And I fully feel, we're talking about ground. We're talking about these people.
The greats.
The greats.
Mom, rest in peace. Wow.
It's the ancestors of our life and the people that come before us.
Yeah.
That energy when it's like really involved and instilled, engraved, but it's involved in getting you to a goal, and you have that backing.
Something unstoppable.
And God, most importantly.
Yeah, God, the center, right? God first.
Yeah, it really you feel that energy, and you become that vessel.
You become that
vessel. So like it's like when somebody punches or they throw something, right, and they're putting force into it,
and you deflect.
But you are the vessel.
Wow,
you are the vessel.
Just deflects, huh?
Well, you deflect. Like it's like what Bruce Lee said.
Yeah.
When my opponent expands, I contract.
Wow.
When he contracts, I expand.
Yeah.
You want to be fluid.
Yeah.
You want to be strong at the same time, though. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. It sounds like you're going in all the way, man.
Oh,
head first.
Oh, we're going all the way, and we have more plans, plans, of course. Yeah.
And so I don't want to really give it away, but your team is made up. Like how are these teams made up of? Like your campaign.
It's a strong team. You know, it's an initiative that's brought to you by students like yourselves. You know the lines that I'm speaking to. The students involved in my campaign are no different than yourself, but the only thing that they're doing is they're advocating for you, and that's exactly what I plan on doing as well.
You're like a mouthpiece for the school.
Yeah, and I'm also an action. You got to move the needle. Of the school. That's very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm like taken aback because at some of the stuff you're saying, because your energy tells me that you're gonna win, and your bravado, like the grit, your work ethic. As you know, I've always been a believer in you because your work ethic from the time you were little, you were never asked to do your homework or did you do it. It was always done automatically. You always had a very regimented. You've always been when you get to this is how I'm doing things. Like nothing stands in the way. I mean, you believe in having fun and all the rest, but you're very, very. You're gun ho about everything.
I love to have fun. One of my biggest problems is like, is having fun and being, just why not have fun?
Yeah.
And also channeling that so much to where people are like, oh, dude, like you come across as a dude that would never do that or never do this, right? Or be like, you'd be wild, you'd be this or whatever. Yeah, that's cool because, that's a part of us. That's a part of you. It's a part of me. Like that's naturally going to be there. And I wish I could show, more sides of that, be a little calmer and all that, right? Yeah, but
you got, it's like you're an amalgamation of your whole family of both sides that are fighters.
Yeah.
And I think like if you want this bad and you pursue it, and not only just to say I won, but to actually propose things and carry them out. Not just fluff, you know what I mean? So a lot of people's all white noise, this, we're going to do that. And all these initiatives come about and perhaps people even vote on them and stuff. But a lot of times things don't happen because people are not visionaries. They're just career politicians. Like so-and-so, they know so-and-so, kind of like in the real world.
Yeah.
I'm saying in college is the same way.
It's the same way.
It's a buddy system,
It's a buddy system.
Yeah.
But the key to breaking the buddy system is you have to be a real visionary. You have to have a real a real clear image, which is a funny play on words that I've heard before from other candidates. But it's really about being a visionary, and that's what I intend on being. So, if Lions are out there listening to me, that's what I intend on doing. I intend on being a visionary. I intend on taking action. First day in office, we're having a lot of action plans already in place.
Fantastic.
And I want to be fully transparent as well. Yeah. Because it's important. At the end of the day, it's a community.
Yeah.
Right? I'm running for president, but in reality, there's thousands of kids and they all want things.
Yeah.
When I first proposed that I'm going to do this,
you were listening.
I was listening. I was listening to the problems. I was listening to the kids saying, "Oh, this. I don't know where my budget went. I don't know where this went. I don't know where that went."
Yeah.
Well, all this I don't know means that there hasn't been transparency. Right. But
they're going where the money is. Where's the money going? Who knows?
That's what we have to figure out. But
it's going to like the people's nice vehicles and sitting out front. Who knows, right?
That's allegedly. But no, we have really great goals in mind. But look, I don't want to make this a whole political thing either.
No, it's fine.
I would love to talk about more boxing stuff.
Yeah. Well, like the boxing. So I mean, speaking of boxing. When was the last fight you guys went to go see? Weren't you guys going to see some fight? You told me?
Last fight I went to see probably with some friends. I think I went to go watch a Golden Boy event or something like that.
That was cool.
Yeah, it's always chill. It's always chill to go to one of those events, smaller venues, LA.
Yeah, those are really fun and to have fun with the people and stuff and what is it like when you feel like you win? There's nothing like it, right? When your person wins,
Mhm.
your guy is the guy that wins
Yeah,
or takes
yeah,
it, or
yeah.
whether that be a guy or girl, you know.
Yeah, no,
It's the
man or
best
woman,
thing.
right?
Yeah.
It's because look, like, the important thing about fighting is that fighting is it's an accumulation of hard work.
Yeah.
It's not like, when I look at a fighter, I don't just see, these two guys, they want to beat each other up. They want to like really mess each other up.
No.
No, it's two vessels, two spirits
Yeah.
that have accumulated a work ethic over the
Wow.
course of time.
Uh-huh.
And with this work ethic, they land on
Like
this.
two champions, two legends, right? Coming together.
Every fighter is at the end of the day is a legend. You're a legend for being able to go in there and prove yourself, prove your worth, prove your legacy, prove your family name. It's a vital aspect of life. It is. And I think when you get, these two vessels, these two spirits that have, accumulated this work ethic, they come together and they battle it out. And they
synchronicity.
test each other's spirit. That's
It's like
that's
a
the reality of
symbiotic
fighting.
thing. It's a symbiotic thing. Like they work off each other.
Yeah,
kinda.
it's a dance. It's
a dance, a waltz,
it's a human expression like everything else is. It's a human
waltz,
expression like
yeah.
acting, art, artistic stuff, sculpting. It's all the same. It's all a human expression. It's all a beautiful human expression, is what it is.
I'm taking it back. And what are what are some of the would you say what's the youngest fighters you've seen these days? Because like
Youngest
people start getting
fighters?
into boxing now
Yeah.
from the time they're little.
Well, I mean,
huh?
there's a lot of young fighters.
Yeah.
I know there's like guys that have, like they've come out in shows and then now they're, boxing or they're amateurs. Like
Yeah.
you start young. Realistically, most people have to start young. You start in an amateur. It's just like going to school. You have to start with the, a preschool K through 12, and then you go to the big leagues. You do that in boxing as well. But sometimes you're talented enough to where you can, very few amateur fights.
Yeah.
And then some people are made to be a pro. Like
Right.
a lot of, Latin America is made to be a pro because they don't have a great amateur system. So then they just got to go right to the pros and they just got to prove themselves right off the bat. No headgear, no nothing. Like, let's just
they're
go
like
at it.
gladiators, huh? They're like going out in the frickin' the Greek stadium,
the
and
Coliseum.
Coliseum and
Yeah.
fighting with animals.
And just fighting it out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
But in the
beautiful.
US, we have a better amateur system. We
Yeah,
have a
we do.
system.
So they have to go through like tiers, huh?
You go through tiers and then you learn the skills and you learn and when you're the most
ascend to the top.
the important part about learning is play, right? So when you're an amateur, you get to play. Like maybe today I'm gonna try this.
Yeah.
Maybe today I'm gonna try that. What happens with my gas tank when this happens? What happens when I make that move? Oh, that's not good. Oh, that's not good. Oh, that's not good. You have time to make so many mistakes over and over and over again to where it accumulates and then you can improve. And you make those enough improvements, and you become a pretty legendary professional.
So in other words, it's like life. Like you learn from the
you learn from the small
everything's
things.
a lesson.
Yes.
And in real time, situational things that happen become lessons if you learn from them.
Yeah.
And you just polish yourself and you get better and better at it. And over time you evolve and then morph into you and me and all the greats, right? And before us and after us. And you're definitely living proof of a person that dedicates themselves to education, academia, and then and also you have a heart for people and helping, and which is why you're getting involved, because I've always been about helping communities and stuff, and I love the involvement that you have. So I just wanted to throw that out and tell you that I'm very proud of you and I love you with all my heart, and I'm very happy that
I don't want the audience to get all mopey on me.
No.
I don't want that to happen either.
No, I know, but yeah, I mean, truly from the bottom of my heart, James, I'm really happy that you're getting involved because, as you know, I mean, early on in my life, there's always been, we've always wanted to give back. We've always wanted to be community service. We want to, whatever that looks like. We always want to help people and be a people person and be, humanity. I mean, just be humane.
Yeah.
And we love to advocate for animals, for dogs,
by the way, sorry, just a quick, I keep readjusting myself because these seats are so comfortable.
Yeah.
They're so comfortable. You almost just, like, it's like a lazy boy. You want to slide into. No, but continue. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I just wanted to say that, I can go on for hours and hours to talk about things, and then I have ADHD, so I go out on a tangent. But I think I went off on a tangent, but I wanted to tell you that, circle it all back, that what you're doing truly, I would say, I mean, I would cast my vote on you any day, just because, not only because, well, yeah, because you're my son, number one. It would be a crying shame if I didn't, right? And cardinal sin. But no, I think like the fact that you're that you're a visionary, that you take pride in what you do and you thought things through,
Yeah.
and then you just wouldn't run just to run. I mean, you clearly have a pathway to whatever it is you want. You want fairness and equality. You want there to be visibility, and you want to be more visible, to have your campus be
Diversity
and
all of that.
diversity, more diversity, which is what we need, you know. And then unfortunately, I think your team has diversity, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
every look. One thing I will not take away from every candidate of
Yeah.
ours is that we're coming from
Diverse.
a diverse backgrounds.
Yeah.
And having diverse backgrounds, it gives you so much perspective.
Yeah. And nothing's
that
been handed
it'll-
to you.
No, yeah, and it gives you so much perspective to where you can have great action plans. So we
Yeah.
all have, great action plans. The only difference is that, I would say that ours is very well structured, very planned out.
Yeah.
And to have the person that's, been presented in front of you today,
Yeah.
you know
I almost want to
that-
get involved, dude. I almost want to get involved.
I don't mean to hype you up that much, but no.
It's the energy in the room.
Yeah.
It's a powerhouse. The energy in the room is
Today it feels
it
really
feels-
powerful in here.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
And I want to say, like, kind of close it off. We got 3 more minutes.
I would love to talk about boxing real quick.
Okay, let's talk about your boxing. I mean, go ahead. Well, I will say one thing. I meant to tell you that my godmother, rest her soul, his husband was Freddie Escobar, who was like a pretty badass boxer.
He was a
in the
badass
old
boxer
days.
in Mexico. Back in
Yeah.
the days where Mexico was really tough and you had to come up to get, championship by championship by championship, and having a Mexican regional championship or having
Yeah.
any sort of, Estado Condado, belt meant
Yeah.
a lot because you had to really
And-
fight up the ranks.
And he fought out here too at the
Yeah, and-
Olympic Auditorium.
Olympic
the
Auditorium.
Very, emblematic
Yeah.
stadium. I
But-
mean, back when we didn't have all
Yeah,
the other stadiums anyway.
But
Right.
I mean, in terms of boxing, the objective remains clear.
Yeah.
I will be getting my manager's license, and
That's
I will be opening my manager's company, my management
Yeah,
company for
yeah,
fighters.
yeah.
That is something that I've been wanting to do,
All your
that I
life.
will do, and that's going to be happening in a very near future. I think that
Yeah.
this year is a year that we're going to put together a lot of great things. I have a lot of good things coming up, but we're firing on all cylinders this year, and
Yeah,
I'm all about it.
Hitting the
That's
ground
what's
running
happening.
now.
Exactly. So yeah, I will be creating my fighting management company,
And
and
where
I
can
will be
people
getting my
find you?
license.
Where can they follow you on?
Well, you could follow the presidential campaign at James and Kareem _ ASLMU, and then the Combat Sports Guy. You can find the Combat Sports Guy, combat _ sports, or combat _ sports _ guy on Instagram. And yeah, you could just support me on there. We have, I have my different initiatives that I'm putting together. And we're going to have a great 2025. We're going to have
Yeah.
a great and strong 2025.
And Can I ask you one other thing?
Yeah.
Do you have aspirations to somewhere like down the road? Obviously, for obvious reasons, not just now, because right now you're worrying about your school as a whole.
a
But
lot of things, yeah.
post graduation, like what they're probably running for a city council member seat, then maybe even potentially throw your bid into the mayoral campaign and you governor and maybe
look,
president of the United States.
Oh
someday.
my gosh, look,
Nothing's far fetched,
Look,
right?
sky's the limit. Brick by brick, hard work, and then we'll see. There's a lot of things I want to get done in life, so we'll
Yes.
see what happens. You never say no to anything. You never say never to anything.
Yeah,
you just
for sure.
lead with action, lead through action, day by day. Take actions, and you'll keep yourself from being stagnant.
Dude, I am forgetting that you're as young as you are. You're very young and very
I learn from the
level-headed.
best.
Thank you. I'm super,
Doesn't happen by mistake.
everything is intentional. I can guarantee you guys. I am really, really thrilled and honored to have you here.
I appreciate being here. I appreciate you inviting me again. Thank you so much.
I really appreciate that and gracing me with your intelligence and you're handsome. What a handsome guy I have, right?
Oh, thank you.
James Matthew, you guys, ladies and gentlemen.
Meza.
This is Matthew Meza.
Thank you so much, Dad.
I appreciate you. God
appreciate
bless you.
coming
That's my
back
show. Almost Famous. Tune in and don't forget to subscribe. I'm humbled by I'm flattered by all your wonderful emails that I get week in and week out. And Instagram follows Jim Francis Meza. And
Yeah, the combat_sports_guy, or you can follow our page, like I just said. You know the.
Or follow me, okay? And then and follow the show, Almost Famous. I can hardly wait to see
Get
when
this
this
up.
drops, and
Yeah.
and can't wait to see to say, hey, man, we got Mr. President of LMU here in the house.
We're leading a successful, a strong campaign, and let's just let things play out how they're going to play out, and be positive, of course.
Be positive and let God do the rest, right? All right, guys, that's my show. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you. Take it away.